Hi everyone, my name is Karen and I'm the Children and Families Worker from Mount Pleasant Baptist Church in Blackwood. You might have met me if you've been to our church, so thank you for joining me today. This Sunday is the second week of Advent and it continues until we get to Christmas Day. Over the 4 weeks of Advent, I'm going to be posting a video of an Advent craft that I hope you will enjoy making along with me. Last week we made an Advent wreath, and this week we're going to be making a trumpet which we will use to herald the arrival of the Messiah. It should take about 10 minutes to make. Yours is going to look like this when it's finished. You will need to gather some simple materials and tools before you begin. You should have everything you need already at home. One of the joys of Advent is celebrating humility and simplicity, mirroring the humble birth of Jesus, not as a powerful king, but as a small baby, born to refugee parents in borrowed accommodation. The creative energy and love you spend while you're making these crafts is more important than the actual components. So just have fun with what you've got available to you. So now I'll go through the list of materials and tools you'll need. So let's go through the materials that you're going to need. You're going to need a kitchen roll tube or 2 or 3 toilet roll tubes taped together, or this time of year you might be lucky enough to have the inner tube from a wrapping paper. So one of those, any of those will do. You're also going to need a plastic or paper cup. Now if you don't have a paper cup, I've uploaded this file to the website, and that's got a template on it that you can print it out onto some thick card or thick paper, and you can make your own paper cup. So you can get that from the website. Then you're going to need some coloured electrician's tape or craft tape. The suggested colours are red and green or purple and white. I don't have these colours, but what I do have is an awesome collection of washi tape. I think possibly I've got a bit of a washi tape obsession. Next you're going to need some coloured markers and a pencil, and you might possibly need some paint, any colour that you want. Then you're going to need some stickers. Now if you've got Advent stickers, that's fantastic. I haven't, but what I have got is I've got some Christmas gift stickers that I bought a couple of years ago from the supermarket, and these have got little Christmas pictures on. So I'm going to cut these out and I'm going to use these as my stickers. Then you're going to need some basic tools, not complicated at all this time. You're going to need some scissors, you're going to need some glue stick, or as I've got here, some double-sided tape. And that's it. Hopefully you've already got all of these things at home, and you'll be able to find them dotted around the house. So we'll be ready to go. So if you want to go and gather all your materials, and then we're going to do some preparation. So we're going to do now a little bit of preparation for our paper cup and our trumpet. So if you've already got a ready-made cup, then what you need to do is just take the bottom off the cup so that it's straight through. There's nothing stopping it on the bottom. Use a pair of scissors or a craft knife to do that. And then if you want to, you should paint it. So they suggested red. I didn't have red, but I quite like this nice bright gold colour, so I'm going to paint mine gold. If you're making your cup for my template, then what you need to do is very carefully with a pair of scissors just cut around the edge, and you will end up with something that looks like this. Then what you need to do is paint it. As I say, I've already painted mine yellow, so it's a nice bright gold colour. So then we need to make it fit onto our cardboard tube. So carefully just roll it up and fit it onto the end of our tube till it fits nice and snugly, like that. And then you're just going to mark where it finishes overlapping. Then what you need to do is along that line there, take your glue, or in my case I've got some nice double-sided tape, and stick that along that edge, like so. You can do yours with glue or double-sided tape, whatever you want. And I'm actually going to use a second piece just to make sure that it sticks nice and firm. Okay, there we are. So then take your tube and re-roll up the trumpet part until it fits back like that. And I'm just going to smooth it down so that's nice and stuck down. So now we're going to put our trumpet together. So we're going to use some clear tape to stick our trumpet part onto the body of our cardboard tube. So you can see I've already done that. I used some clear tape, and then on the top I've used some washi tape to cover up the clear tape, and then down at this end I've used 2 more strips to decorate that end. You need to leave the centre free because you're going to be writing and sticking some things in here. So go ahead and stick your trumpet to your tube and then put your washi tape strips on. Next, you're going to use the markers to write the dates that the prophets lived and prophesied on the tube. You'll have to be careful doing this. If you press too hard, you'll crush your tube, and you don't want to do that. The dates are as follows: Hosea 782 to 743 BC, Isaiah 742 to 740 BC, Micah 740 to 732 BC, and Jeremiah 640 to 608 BC. And I've done it like this on mine. Have you noticed that the dates looked funny? That's because dates that are before Christ, BC, are written going backwards from when Christ was born. It's correct, but it just looks very odd to me. Then you're going to add your stickers to decorate the rest of the tube, or draw some pictures if you don't have any stickers. So I'm just going to use my little Christmas stickers that I've got here, and I'm going to stick them on in some appropriate places. I've only got 3 stickers because I'm trying to do this fairly quickly, but you can use as many stickers as you want and draw as many pictures as you want, because you're going to have plenty of time to do this. And there we are, your trumpet's ready. How exciting is that? That's absolutely awesome. Are you ready to toot your trumpet? Here we go. Isn't that great fun? Now would be a great time to take a photo. Then I'm going to tell you a little bit about the prophets. First, do you know what I mean by a prophet? Some of you might not have come across this term before. Basically, a prophet is a person regarded as an inspired teacher or proclaimer of the will of God. Sometimes prophets also make prophecies, which are a bit like predictions, but not quite the same, as prophecies are a message that has been given directly to the prophet by God. For example, I might tell you that it's going to rain today. That's a prediction, not a prophecy. It's amazing that prophets were very accurately predicting some of the details of Jesus' life centuries before he was even born. So prophets are really cool guys. First, do you know where Jesus was born? I'm hoping lots of you are saying Bethlehem. So I'm going to take up my trumpet and say the prophecy of Micah through the trumpet. But you, Bethlehem, though you are small among the clans of Judah, out of you will come for me one who will be ruler over Israel, whose origins are from of old, from ancient times. And that's from Micah chapter 5, verse 2. So where did Micah say the Messiah would come from 700 years before he came? Bethlehem. If we now read the New Testament passage of Matthew chapter 2, verse 1. Now, when Jesus was born in Bethlehem of Judea in the days of Herod the king, behold, there came wise men from the east to Jerusalem. Where was Jesus born according to the New Testament? Bethlehem. If we go back to the Old Testament, I'm going to take up my trumpet and say the prophecy in Isaiah chapter 7, verse 14. Therefore, the Lord himself will give you a sign. The virgin will be with child and will give birth to a son and will call him Emmanuel. So what is a virgin? Someone who has never engaged in sexual acts and therefore could not be pregnant. Let's see what happened by reading the New Testament. When Mary was engaged to Joseph, before they came together, she was found to be with child from the Holy Spirit. Her future husband Joseph was hurt and confused, thinking she had been unfaithful. But being a just man and unwilling to put her to shame, he was going to back out of the marriage quietly. But behold, an angel of the Lord appeared to him in a dream, saying, Joseph, son of David, do not fear to take Mary as your wife, for that which is conceived in her is from the Holy Spirit. She will bear a son, and you shall call his name Jesus, for he will save his people from their sins. All this took place to fulfill what the Lord had spoken by the prophet Isaiah. Behold, the virgin shall conceive and bear a son, and they shall call his name Emmanuel. That's in chapter 1, verses 18 to 25 of Matthew. Isaiah proclaimed a miracle. The mother of the Messiah would conceive a child without having engaged in acts of sex. That's a miracle. That had never happened before or since. He predicted that how many years before Jesus was born? About 740. That is like someone born in the 1300s making a prediction about you. Let's hear from Hosea in the Old Testament. I'm going to read Hosea chapter 11, verse 1. When Israel was a child, I loved him, and out of Egypt I called my son. This implied to all the Hebrew scholars that the Messiah would spend a significant part of his childhood in Egypt. That's very unusual. People did not travel during those times like they do today. They had to walk almost everywhere, or take wagons, or ride camels. There weren't many roads. Boats were unstable and frightening. So for centuries after the prophet Hosea said it, they wondered what it really meant. Nearly 700 years later, people got to find out. Let's go forward into the New Testament to Matthew chapter 2, verses 11 to 13. Shortly after the wise men visited Jesus, an angel of the Lord appeared to Joseph in a dream and said, Rise and take the child and his mother and flee to Egypt and remain there until I tell you. For Herod is about to search for the child to destroy him. And he rose and took the child and his mother by night and departed to Egypt and remained there until the death of Herod. This was to fill what the Lord had spoken by the prophet Hosea. Out of Egypt I called my son. Jesus lived in Egypt, some say, for as long as 6 years, though it may have been less. Finally, here is a very sad scripture, but one we acknowledge as part of the story of Jesus' birth. In in Matthew chapter 2, the wise men first told King Herod that they were looking for the new Messiah so that they could worship him. King Herod was jealous and thought a Messiah might grow up to take power from him. The wise men tricked him by not coming back to report to him after they found the Messiah. Herod got so mad and wanted Jesus dead so badly that he had all boys aged 2 and under killed. He thought he had killed the Messiah. I will read Jeremiah chapter 31 verse 15. A voice was heard in Ramah, weeping and loud lamentation. Rachel weeping for her children. She refused to be comforted because they are no more. Many scholars think this statement, made around 630 years before the birth of Christ, related to what Jeremiah had predicted. Rachel is a wife of Jacob from the beginning of the Bible, back in Genesis. It is thought that the killing of all these little boys would have been so upsetting to her that she would have risen from the grave screaming. That's a terrible thought. So prophets have been talking of the coming of the Messiah since around 4000 BC. Today we got to share in their joys and sorrows as part of Advent. I'd like to say thank you to you for joining me to make this Advent trumpet and listening to the prophecies made about the coming of Jesus. And I'd love to see a photograph of the trumpet you have made so that I can share them to our Facebook page. So please email me a photo to familiesblackwood@gmail.com. I've put the email address in the description section of this video. Or post it yourself on our Facebook group page. Also, please join us each Sunday morning for our services through Advent at 10 a.m, when we will be meeting via Zoom. We will continue to light our Advent candles together, so remember yours from last week. You light the first and the second candles this week. Again, I've put the link to the service in the description section. Don't forget to give a thumbs up to the video and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Every blessing to you. See you next week when we will be making a Nativity Scene Decoration. I'll put a list of what you'll need on our Facebook group page and our website. God bless. Have a good week.